Hey there folks, welcome back. We are going to troubleshoot the passenger side power seat today, so I'll bring you along for that. Okay, I've got another video out when we were working on this left side here. You know, we've got forward and backward, you know, we got our tilt up and down and all that stuff. So we had a bad switch on this side. It you know, it looked really bad. It had a lot of crusties and stuff like that. This was just all loose. These, see, they just don't work. They're supposed to be nice and smooth like these are, you know, and obviously like those are. So, but we also had cable problems, and we went through how to replace those and whatnot. We haven't done anything with the passenger side. That's where this switch came from. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this switch back into the passenger side, and we're going to troubleshoot that seat because it will go forward and backward, but it won't do any of the tilts. I believe it sounds like it's trying to go, but it just won't do it. So let's do that. So get this out. You got a Phillips screw right here, and actually, if you, I didn't do this before, but I didn't realize it, but if you unscrew this, take it off, it's for the cable to run the mirror, and get this screw out of here. Alright, so once you get that out of there, this can lift out of here, and with being able to take that deal off of there with the cable for the mirror, it allows this to come out just a smidge easier. Now there's a tab here on the other side, that's what it was catching on. So now this can just come out here and roll out here like this, and we've got a Phillips screw there and a Phillips screw there that we need to get off. So you can see that we need to get that off. Okay, once you get those off, that'll allow this to everything to come out. And then I don't know if I can do this one hand. Oh, I guess I can. Yeah, it just plugs in to that. That's all it does. So like I said, this is it's an old switch, but it's a functioning one. So go put it on the other side and do the troubleshooting. All right, now we're over on this side. I had ordered a new switch, I just haven't gotten it yet. So this one, you're gonna need to, you know, pop up the lid for the ashtray, pull this screw out of here. You don't have any extra stuff to worry about getting this out, so this is a lot easier. Just pick this up, grab onto it, slide it back a little bit, roll it out. Oh, I had two, never mind, I had the two screws. I didn't know where they came from. I had these two screws left in here that bolt that down so I wouldn't lose them, and I just lost them, but got them back. We're good. So we'll get this thing put back, get this other switch put back in here, and we'll continue on. Okay, so we got that installed. You can either leave it out when doing testing and all that. I'm going to end up taking it back out and put it back on the left side so that I can control the switch, you know, and then all I'll have to do is when the new switch comes in, I'll just have to put it in here. But I opted to just go ahead and install it into here because along with the screws holding in the switch from falling out, you know, it also holds the plug onto the switch. So I just do that. And so with this, you know, we've got forward and backward, but when you try to do any of the tilt, you see the lights dimming, and I can hear clicking. So what we need to do is we've got to get this seat out of here to or at least, you know, what I want to try to do is just get it where I can get it tilted back and figure out what's going on with it. Okay, so we've got nuts right there. I believe it's 9/16. So we're gonna get them off first. This is the front. As you can see, this is the front. Now if your chair is all the way forward and say won't go back, you can still get these out. It's just when it's all the way back, you're gonna have a hard time getting the ones in the back out. So I'm gonna leave it right in this position, and I'll show you what it looks like with it all the way back. See, with this all the way back, it's gonna be pretty hard to get to the bolts back here. I'll show you them when we get it rolled forward, but if you have to, there'll be a way. It just is hard if you say you can't move it forward. So we're getting these nuts off of here. I can learn how to control a wrench, crying out loud. They just come off like this. Set them aside. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, bring the seat as far forward as it'll go. Okay. So now you can see your rear bolt's a little bit easier, and they are different than, you know, obviously that's a bolt that goes down in there instead of the stud that comes up with a nut on it. So that's what we're getting off next. All right, that's them when they're out. So now the seat is loose. These were really hard coming out at first. You see there's a, you know, this car got a little bit of a surface type of, you know, rust going on, but we got a little bit, you know, just crank it a little bit, and then switch your ratchet, go back and back and back and forth, go a little bit farther, and then go back tight again, a little bit farther, back tight again, and hopefully you can get it out. But you know, if you break it, I did break one on this side over here, and it just had to drill the hole out bigger and tap threads for a little bit bigger bolt. Not a huge deal, but anyways, glad these came out. So let's get this seat tilted back. Okay, so we got this thing tilted back, and here are your motors, and here are the cables. And I can't remember, I believe this one does the forward and backwards. So the first thing that we're going to do is obviously, you know, let's okay, we got the forward and backward that works. So what we're going to do is, now you see, got those kind of a clamp right there. We got to get that off. So we get that clamp off and get that cable pulled out of there. Because what we're going to do, we're going to pull the cable out first on this side. If it continues to, if it decides it wants to move, then we know we've got a problem in here. If the cable still won't move out here, then we'll take it loose from here and see if the motor turns. And if that happens, then we know we've got a bad cable. So let's get these clamps off of here. We're going to get the clamps off of this one right here, and just squeeze them with a pair of pliers, get them off. They can be kind of a bear sometimes, and pull it out, and I'll show you what that looks like. You can go ahead and pull this spring out of the way, push that forward, get a little better access into that. Alright, let's get this off. Squeeze this. Get it off. off of there. And this just kind of picks up out of here. Cables are a little stiff. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to lift it up that way and pull it out. All right. It's kind of a square drive in here. So let's see. See this moving? And actually it only moves one direction. I don't know if that's a bad switch. We'll have to troubleshoot that further, but this cable is good. I don't know if I doubt you can see it, but let's see if I can get a better shot of that turning. This is the rear tilt. Come on. So that cable's good, and that goes to the middle motor, and we're operating the rear tilt now. That's working, this position's not. So, and I believe it works on the other side, so you may have a bad connection somewhere, or that motor only works in one direction. But let's get that other cable put back in and get another one off for the other tilt. Alright, so basically you just line this square drive up here. Actually, you know what? I think we're going to leave it out for right now. The one that we need to get off of, I believe, is this one right here, in a little bit different position. Said you just kind of pull up on it. Pull it out. Okay, now this should be the front tilt. Now, that's a good cable. Again, not what I wanted to find. So, we got good motor, good cable, you know, that's turning real good. Everything's just fine with it. So, meaning we've got problems in here. And it looks like the top of this plate will come off. I don't know if you can see what yeah, looks like the top of this plate will come off, and we'll be able to get in there and see what's going on. Let's go ahead and pull that off, see what that looks like. I've never taken one off before. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get these screws out. I'm going to go ahead and pause it so you guys aren't just sitting there watching me do that. Alright, so that does not come off because of this little knob in the middle here. I had to, you know, take this spring off of here, and I just thought, you know, that we'd be able to get this cover off here, because the way that that works is that in here is a square drive that matches this, and it just turns, and then here you can see there's gear teeth here, and that's what moves that. Get out of the way, spring. Trying to get the right shot in there. There's a gear right there, and then that moves this steel up and down to do your front tilt. Same with the back one. So I don't know, I thought this thing would be serviceable, but maybe you just replace this whole thing. But I might try to figure that out. But for now, I'm going to stick the cable and everything back in there and just see if it changed anything, because we know that the motor works, we know that the cable spins and everything. And maybe I can lubricate some of this stuff and might see if that works. So we'll get that done. All right, that might have been a little premature. See that little clip right there? Kind of like a cotter key or something like that. I'm gonna take that out. I think that's gonna pull that pin. It's so damn dark in here. Yeah, let me get that pulled out. All right, so we pulled that out. Now we can pry this thing out, I think. Y'all are doing this in real time just like I am. Just pulls it out. Little pin, you know. Had that little cotter key looking thing there. And bingo. This comes out. So we got this deal turns a worm gear. Hopefully you can see that. We got a worm drive gear here, which rolls on this gear over here. And all this does come out. The first thing I need to do is see if this spins. Let's change positions on the camera. Okay, so this is what we're dealing with. We got the, so this would go in, you know, we were looking at it like this. The cable went in on this side. So you can see there's the square drive that the, this part of the cable goes right inside of. And the motor would turn it like so. And obviously we can turn it in both directions, so that is not our problem. So the motor's not our problem, the cable's not our problem. We got to figure out why this won't work with the turning that gear. So we'll keep moving on. Okay, so with this gear comes out. It's got four other, you know, it's got the back side of it is a gear. Then it's got four other gears that actually do stuff. And so I got to figure out where this thing is froze up. So far, all of this stuff is coming out pretty easy. So it's in here somewhere. Obviously, this gear right here, which I can't really get a good shot at. Come on. Come on. I just can't get the camera. There we go. Okay, so that one is closest to this. Must be the one that actually turns and makes this move, because when this arm moves, that's what raises and lowers this thing. So, alright, so right here I got some, you can see the vice grips on there, and we're trying to move this. So, what we're going to do is take a screwdriver, get behind this other gear here, and we're going to pop the gear out. Because this is what's hanging us up. So you got these star gears here, kind of a planetary gear system. They're all working, but I think this grease is just old. Like that right there, I can't hardly move that. What we gotta do is get all this old grease off of here. Now, can you see front tilt working perfectly? That's good. All right, we'll get this old grease cleaned off of here. Okay, so we got this all cleaned up. Got these spinning really good. I think that grease was just so dang old. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a dab of grease on this side. And then well, before we put this together, I'm gonna get all this old gunk cleaned out of here on this side. So we'll get that done first. Okay, see how that's another better shot of this and how this goes. So we're going to stick this, see that gear right here rides on this part right here. And you gotta get it in there straight. Bear with me, folks. Get it lined up. Alright, I'm gonna pause it for a second while I fight with this. Okay, see how we got this moving back and forth now? So, next thing we'll do is I'm going to put a dab of grease in here. We'll stick that other gear in there. We'll just put a dab of it in here. Just regular bearing grease, it ain't gonna matter. Okay, so now we will stick this gear in here. Okay, then the next thing, we're gonna get this thing all cleaned up, get all this gunk out of here. Okay, we'll put a tiny dab of grease top of here. Put this worm gear deal in place. And we'll go ahead and get all the screws put in place here. I don't know if it matters which, I mean, obviously we got to put this pin, back in. So I'll get these screws tightened up here. Okay, we got all the bolts put back in. So now we'll go ahead and get this pin shoved in. Goes in all the way. And then the little pin goes in on the back side of it where I showed you before, you know, where it came out of. Okay, so now what we got to do is we got to finagle this cable back. I think this was the, yep, that's the one, front tilt. And we got to get it pushed back to here. And I know you probably can't exactly see what I'm doing, but when you're in here doing it, you'll tell exactly what's going on. I'm going to pause it while I'm fighting with it. Okay, so we got the cable finally in there. And get this clip on here. Alright, now I'm finding it a real pain in the ass to put these clips back in place. So I'm let's get a better light on the subject. Putting zip ties in here, it's so much easier. Like I said, I'm not proud of it, but that's just it. So, got that cable put back in place there. Let's try this front tilt. Working beautifully. All right, so folks, first thing we did, we popped the cable out of there, and then we actuated it, made it work. Now we found that the motor was working. We found that the cable was working. You know, the cable was spinning. This is the other one for the rear tilt. So once we did that, we just figured out how to take this thing apart. Well, we still got to put this spring back on here. This guy right here. And it helps everything. Go back, we can get that put back on. And you know, but we got in here, we cleaned, you know, well, basically, you know, that grease was just old and sticky. Collected a lot of dirt and dust over the years, and it just, you know, it was just stuck. Cleaned all the grease out of there. We got new grease and stuff in there. As you can see, the other side, here's the other side for the rear tilt, also is probably the same thing. Of course, we also have the problem with the rear tilt only going one direction. And it's hard to tell, but inside of there you can see, you know, because obviously, or this, okay, so this is your forward and backward. So let's say your forward and backward weren't working, and you figured out that the cable was good, because that's, you know, this top motor, this first motor right here is for your forward and backward. That cable runs out along, goes right into the center here. Now on the back side of this, it's hard to tell with the camera view, but it looks like if you were to take this entire thing out of here, you're going to find the same thing as a cap like this cover right here. This is plastic. So these are serviceable, and that side we're going to have to get taken apart, except we're going to have to take the chair out of here. to get that service there. But all right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to just check that, you know, that switch, because obviously we had this working. This is the rear tilt, and it only works in one direction. So I'm going to pull this plug off of the back of this steel here, and we're going to test it with a meter and or a test light. Alright, we'll just use a voltmeter first, just to see. Now, the two on the end, one of these ends is gonna be your forward and backward, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be. Alright, so we've got 1170 volts there when we push the switch forward. And you can reverse polarity these, you know, and we go with the forward switch again. Now it's negative, but when you go in the other direction, nothing. So we've got a bad switch or a bad wire in between there. So we'll have to get that figured out. Sorry, dropped you guys. So anyways, yeah, that's all you're doing. Let me put this thing back where it was. And so those two color of wires are, we got yellow and, okay, we got yellow with a blue stripe. Okay, so there's these three red wires. They all got different. This is like a red with a like a brown stripe, and then a yellow with a blue stripe. That's the ones we were just on. So that does your forward tilt. So let's go down here to the bottom set, and we'll put the probe in there and see which ones those are. I imagine it's forward and backward. It is. Okay, so you got forward and backward there. Now watch the meter when I go back. See, it just reverses the polarity. See the negative on the reading there. Now I'll go back forward again, and now the polarity is correct. We'll go back. See the negative right there in front of the 11. Negative polarity. That's all it's doing is switching the directions. And then you go up here to the top, and we know this side's working. This is the front tilt. So we got positive polarity there, and we probably don't have a good enough connection on here, but and this switch probably isn't good. Yeah. There we got that switch, and we got positive polarity there. So anyways, that's essentially what it's doing there. Not all it's doing is just switching back and forth. So we at least got that part done, and what we're gonna do is put this thing back together, and put this other cable, you know, back in place here. Just kind of slide these things. They're a bit of a bear once you get close. Sometimes you have to move the I guess I can't do that with it unplugged. Dummy. Oh. head on the deal there, but yeah, we'll get that put in there. All right, so we got this all back together again. Wasn't exactly how I had intended to do this. I thought we were gonna have bad cables, but we just, you know, had grease. It was all gummed up in there, and we figured out how to, you know, that is serviceable. Took it apart, got it working, and so we got to see something a little bit different than we otherwise not had, you know, because I didn't know if this was serviceable or not, but it is. And so basically, the switch I thought was good. I'm gonna have to get a another new switch, I think, so make this all work. But we most likely got, you know, 3 good motors. We got 3 good cables here, and then we serviced that, and we got it most of the way working. So anyways, hope that this can really help you out. And sorry about all the knocking the camera over and all that. It's hard to film these sometimes, but hopefully we'll get her done better next time. So anyways, thanks for watching.